Now I got to come up with something really smart to say, which never happens. So you know
the
what?
Same thing you always say.
You know what? That's the start. That's it. Two Dads View podcast. Everybody's here. Everybody's on. We're in. Everybody's got us downloaded and ready to listen to us. And we're just going to start it like that.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Basically, they know what the fuck they got.
Yeah, they know what they're getting into. So welcome all to the Two Dads Review podcast. We are ready to roll with the episode 11 review of Star Trek Discovery. Real quick before we jump into the show, as always, you can find us at twodadsreview.com. That's our audio boom site. It'll link you to the Apple Podcasts where we're located, Google Play Music, Stitcher, TuneIn, and you can also check us out at the Two Dads Review YouTube channel. We're seeing a little more traffic over there, so hello to everybody in YouTube land who's finding us there. It's nice to see some folks showing up over there to listen to the podcast. It's nice for sitting at work. You don't have to just put it up on the side, throw a set of headphones in, you're good to go.
Yeah, man, Laura, you could throw it on your phone and let it play in the background with that nifty little trick that Google does that always scares me because I forget I leave it on, and then all of a sudden someone starts talking in my ears and scares the shit out of me because I thought I was on mute. Nothing was playing.
What's that, your Google Home?
No. When you play like a YouTube video on your phone now, and if you minimize out of it, like it'll keep playing in the background. Like it has a background feature.
Do you
now.
have YouTube Red? Yeah. Oh, well, that's why. Yeah, you can always close it down with YouTube Red. That's the one thing. They kill it when it's normal YouTube, don't they?
I don't know. It's just the way it goes on my phone, but I always forget about it, and then like something loud will happen or whatever, and I'll jump. It scares the crap out of me. Well,
it's better than if like you have Pornhub up and you close your phone out.
Well, yeah, that's true.
We also have a special guest with us today. We usually just roll Corey and I, who is like not Star Trek geek and like pretty good Star Trek geek. But guys, I'm bringing in a big hitter today. We're way more into Star Trek than I am. A buddy from way back when. We've known each other for, what year is it? 2018. So, oh God, like 24 years, 25 years maybe. It's been a while.
Your guys' friendship.
25 years.
Your guys' friendship's almost as old as me.
That's exactly children I have on this thing. My buddy Luke joined us. Welcome to the podcast there, bud.
Thank you for having me on. I am thrilled to be here.
He has been an avid listener and has been like, you've got to get me on the show. I was like, well, Star Trek didn't come back for like 6 weeks, so hang on, man. But now we're back.
Yes, absolutely. I've been chomping at the bit to get on, so I'm absolutely thrilled that I'm here. So thank you for allowing me to come on your Two Dad Review.
Well, you're welcome to be allowed. So hey, while you're on this, while you're on this, why don't you go ahead and give everybody who's listening a little bit of cred on yourself? Exactly, tell us how Star Trek came to you, your first experience, what it's been for you, in your life.
Well, my first experience with Star Trek was in 1988. It was the second season of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Correct.
And I actually started watching it at episode 1, season 2. So I sort of missed Crusher there, the first season.
That's too bad.
It was Pulaski the second season, I know, and I still was a fan. Can you believe that?
Yeah, it's hard to hang on for that second season. Ooh.
I know, right?
It's a rough one.
But ever since then, I've been hooked, and I've enjoyed all the different Star Trek series, love all the movies. My favorite 2 Star Trek movies are going to have to be The Wrath of Khan, obviously, which is probably everybody's favorite one.
Right.
And then my next favorite one might not be everybody's favorite, but it's definitely mine, and that is First Contact, directed by none other than Jonathan Frakes.
That's right, who directed last week's episode. At least you didn't say Insurrection. At least you didn't say that was your favorite one.
No, but it's not as bad as people give it, make it out to be.
Only tiny young Tom Hardy make it kind of okay. Except, I think I watched a video a while back that said like they almost killed him or drove him insane like during the filming of that movie. I don't know. There's an interesting backstory to like Tom Hardy on the set when it came to that. When it came to filming Insurrection. So
I have not seen that.
It's a very funny story, but. Enough about that. We know where you're at. We know that you've been like this. You've been a Star Trek fan for almost as long as you've been alive, which is good because you're the same age as I am. You're 37. So, as the guest, as the stepdad of the show, we're ready to rock and roll. So, Corey,
yes.
Luke, we're ready to roll. First things first, Corey. Last week we had some theories, and we kind of knocked it out of the park. I'm just saying.
Yeah, man. Have you ever been on a on a good baseball team that's got a solid 3 and a solid 4 hitter, and you're like, oh shit, I got to pitch around, but either way, you're going to crush home runs. It doesn't matter who you throw it to. That's pretty much what I felt like. So I was like, hey, I'm on a winning team right now, and no one can tell me otherwise.
Right. You and everyone else who has been saying this for the past like 2 months, and it's like they took it this long to tell us. Is anybody? Let's go to you first, Luke. Do you feel like we all kind of guessed a few of these things like way early, and because they stretched it out, we kind of felt it was going to be like it was too easy of a guess, but then it turns out to be what we originally thought. Does that kind of bum you out? Are you okay with that?
No, you know what? I'm actually okay with that, because the interesting thing that I liked about when they revealed that Ash was really Vogue, you know, a lot of the different rumors out there were, is he physically Vogue? Is he, you know, just been implanted, you know, consciousness been, you know, implanted in or whatever. And I told you, you know, when we first started talking about this, that it was definitely physically him. So I'm glad that I was right on that. But that one was, I think, the biggest discussion out of everything. But then, you know, this episode, and we'll get to it later, I'm sure opens up a lot more questions, even though some and most of these other questions have been answered. So I'm looking forward to diving into those as well. Exactly.
And I don't think they could have stretched these original questions out any further.
Any longer. No, absolutely not. They had to be answered this episode, because if they went on any longer, I think it would have been, you know, unbelievable and lost some fans. But instead, they've gained a lot of fans, especially after, you know, seeing a lot of the reviews on Reddit and Twitter and Facebook and everything. Everybody's response to these last 2 episodes has just been unbelievable.
Yeah, they're definitely pretty wild about chapter. They're calling this half of the season Chapter 2. Everybody's pretty wild. In fact, everybody who I was watching one guy today, CBS All Access like offered like a month free, like back at Christmas time or something, and they all like got on it, binged it. They're like, oh shit, this isn't that bad. Like I'm gonna have to, and then they watched like 10 and 11. And they're like, oh okay, I'm in. I guess I'm paying for this now. So
nice.
Let's see. Oh, Corey. So we answered one of your questions that we kind of had for the theories last week, because you and I had a very like mind-blowing discussion about how the mirror universe worked and whether it was like always a 1-for-1 swap or only sometimes a 1-for-1 swap.
Yeah, right. So they kind of answered it in the previous episode. Actually, the episode we were discussing it about, they pretty much answered it at the very beginning, where basically, I don't even remember who says it, but in the recap of the episode, basically one of the guys goes, are we going to run into ourselves? What happens when we run into ourselves? So pretty much by one of the characters saying it on the show, they told you that they were going to run into each other, and we kind of just missed it. But then there was still the whole, well, the ship switched, so
it does happen.
Yeah, so there is a 1-for-1, but then I was kind of like, well, I just think that's because they both have. It's the only thing that has the interdimensional or, you know, travel, the spore drive in it, so that's why they both switched. The wormhole was opened, and you know they popped through. So it was kind of like, oh man, we just talked about all that shit for that long, and like everyone's probably like, dude, they've answered all of these questions, you know?
Well, I mean, yeah, you're right. There was a crew member, I forget who said about seeing themselves on the other side or while they were over there, but you know, but then during last week's episode, Lorca was making comments about, you know, they switched places with us, and it has happened in the past, but not always. So we were like, I don't really know, and I'm not really sure that kind of that plot theory throughout the canon of Star Trek has ever been like completely described and explained. It's just pretty much been like a plot element. So they're like, it does it sometimes and it doesn't other times. It's fine.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, if you can jump dimensions, then you're just gonna have to believe that just weird stuff happens each time.
Right. So Corey, rate this episode. Give me a 1 to 10. What did you give this episode?
I gave it like a 6.5.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And that's probably just because it was like, it was new, but it wasn't new, right?
Something
like
waiting on for a while.
Yeah, like I knew it was coming, and I mean, don't get me wrong, like, you know, a 6.5 to me is still like pretty damn good. Like, you kept my attention, and like the episode wasn't slow at any point, but you also didn't really introduce anything new to me until like the very end, and then but yeah, and then they sucked me back in, and I was like, all right, well now you need to just keep playing the damn episode because now I'm interested, and they're like, ha, come back next week, jackass, and I'm like, ah.
Well, and to be completely honest, and I'll agree with you, I think I may have. Did you ask me or did I tweet about what I gave this when I was watching it live, Corey?
I don't think I paid attention to either.
You told me, Clay. You had told me you'd give me a 9.5.
I gave it a 9.5 but I gave it like 3 points for us knocking it out of the park because all of our theories were like check, we did that one, check, we called that one like a month and a half ago.
Oh, so you did it like the exact opposite of me. You gave it points because we were right. Where I'm like, right. we were right, so you lose points for that.
Because let's not be mistaken, you were right. You mentioned earlier it really is a slow episode. Like it doesn't really move us forward that much in this part of the plot. It answers questions that we've all been like, just fucking say your name, like for 2 friggin' episodes. We're like, just tell us that you're Vogue, please.
Yeah. Now, if you based it on like an action episode, I would give it probably like an 8.5 because there was some good fight scenes in it. There was like a whole planet, being annihilated, like. If you were there for some kind of cool shit, like in brief spurts, like, that was the episode for you. But I feel like, yeah, it kind of just moved along, just chugga choo choo, nice and steady. Yeah. Nobody was throwing any coal on that fire.
Right. Okay, Luke, give us your score. What did you give us your overall impression of it? Even though we've already spoiled some of the stuff, I don't care. Everybody knows that we're not good at that stuff. So give us your rundown of the episode when it comes to score wise.
Absolutely. I told you this when I watched it the first time, that I didn't think it was as good as what some people were saying that it was, and I said originally about a 7.5, but having watched it a couple more times since then, I will revise that score. And I will give it an 8.5. When you rewatch an episode a couple times, you definitely catch up on things that you missed. And I think that made it more enjoyable for me that second and third time. So 8.5, definitely not as good as the episode 10 for sure. Episode 10 was pretty epic in my book. But yeah, definitely answered all the questions, and then, of course, to Corey's point, that big reveal at the end of the episode. So it was great. Big
reveal that we called right here on Two Dads Review last week. I just want to put that out there. Yeah, maybe I should back my 9.5 off a little bit to like a 8.5. But I feel like Corey and I have given everything like anywhere from like 7.5 to 8.5, like through all of our grading of all the shit we've ever reviewed on this show. So I feel like I should give it like a 9, but you're right. I give it a 9, but that's with bonus points for the fact that we got everything right.
All right, so if you take away the bonus points, then what are you giving it? Like take away the nostalgia of you being like, yeah, I was in the writer's head. Like, what would you give it? Just in an unbiased opinion.
It's a 7. It's a 7. It advanced some of the it advanced some of the stuff that we've been waiting on answers for, but it didn't advance as far enough for I love when a show ends and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see next week and see what happens. I hate when a show ends and I'm like, really, I gotta wait all next week for you to show. Like, you gave me one thing and now it's like, now I want to know all about this. I feel like I'm trying to think though if this episode could have been condensed and they brought Giorgio in a little bit earlier to like. The cliffhanger could have been like Burnham entering the Emperor's chamber. Like, they could have could you given me her earlier? Could you have cut some of the plot out? I mean, there was a lot of Ash and Burnham together talk that I feel they could have shaved a little bit of that off just to get Burnham onto the ship that the Emperor's on.
Yeah, but you needed a reason. Like, the whole thing is they're trying to get Burnham there, but then she's got her orders. So instead of her, if she would have just blown everybody up, they could have just moved on. But we know Michael's not going to do that. Right. So you got to have enough of a delay of something where it's going to get the Emperor off her ass and be like, what the fuck's going on? Like, oh, God damn it. I got to go do a power play today, motherfuckers. So I think I don't know if they really could have done anything else other than actually either skipping the whole planet scene where their hideout was, which would basically be rewriting the whole episode.
Yeah, no, they couldn't.
Yeah, or just blow the planet up and be done with it. Like meet Voke and then like Michael going, all right, I'm going to do it for the greater part of my galaxy and everybody else and let that happen. But that would also maybe feed into your could she stay there theory.
True. I don't think that theory has many legs to stand on, but
no,
we'll see.
I don't think it does either.
I don't know.
Sorry, Clay.
We saw her getting like bathed and stuff all night. She's treated like a queen, man. I'm just saying. There are perks to where she's at.
Yeah, but she also wouldn't tell what's his face if she had ran into him too. So
Saru.
Saru.
Yes.
So I don't think she would ever be comfortable there just because of that alone.
Yeah, I mean, her initial monologue pretty much tells us that she's not holding up as well as she shows it. She's not holding up, and in fact, by the end of the episode, and I want to make sure we touch on this as we step through the show. There's a couple spots where she's about to be in big trouble next episode, and I'll bring that up when we get there. But Luke, any final thoughts on what Corey said before I jump into the episode?
No, you guys always sum it up very nicely. So that's why I enjoy listening to the podcast. So
be plugging it while you're on it. All right, so we will start in normal Two Dads fashion. We're going to step you through my notes of the entire show, scene by scene, and we're going to make sure we touch on everything that I think is important, and everybody who's talking to me can tell me if it's not important or not. This is episode 11. The title of the episode is "The Wolf Inside." And we open on, I do have to admit that the CG, they do like flying outside the ship in through some glass into the ship. Like, it's just a cool shot, and I love that they do that like every episode practically.
Yes, I will jump in on here on this. I actually enjoy that a lot as well. I think that's something that started coming around with TNG, but then they kind of lost it with Voyager and DS9. So it's definitely a cool shot. So it adds a lot of cinematography to the show if you're into that kind of thing.
I think on TNG all we got was like zooming in on Picard in the ready room. That's like all we ever got was like that shot. But they did do it. You are right.
Yes.
So we have some random engineer fixing a corridor that has blown a circuit. It's all dark and spooky. She supposedly fixed it, even though it keeps sparking after she says it's fixed. And I'm like, hey, honey, I'm not really sure that's fixed. But so she fixed it, and as on her way out, she hears something in the hall, and lo and behold, it's Stamets talking about the forest as he's cradling dead Culber in his arms, and he says the forest is dark. I can see him through the trees, and he's like just mumbling his normal stuff. So, I think this is pretty much we know that somehow after Culber was killed, Stamets escaped. I'm guessing maybe Ash left his pen open, his cage open, and Stamets got out and dragged
no security guards.
Yeah, no anybody ever anywhere to see any of this stuff. I don't even know how many floors he is away from the med bay, but
yeah, it's like they only have the main cast and then like 6 people who are just absolutely fucking lost on that ship and like have no idea where they're going, so they're always in the hallways just walking around.
Agreed. I think their extra pool is very small. So this is pretty much to show this will lead to later on when they talk about this. This makes everyone on Prime Universe Discovery, so everybody on Discovery, think that Stamets is the one that killed Culber. So no one's looking outside of him, and so no one's thinking that there's a murderer running around the ship right away. They just think that Stamets is just losing it, and snapped Culber's neck. So
right. So it's kind of funny when Saru was like, "What, you think there's a murderer on this ship?" Yes. Hello.
Yeah. Right. There was not anymore.
There was.
So we switch from that quick scene to the Mirror Shinzu, where Burnham is going through her daily routine. She's giving us a nice monologue to kind of describe what's going on. She's talking about that she can't even, when she's sleeping, she's not resting. Like she's every time she wakes up, it's like waking up from her worst nightmare. And then she makes the mention again that they mentioned last episode, even the light is different in this universe. And not everyone, but people were speculating that this is one of the signs as to why Lorca's eyes are messed up the way they are. If he is indeed one of our theories, actually mirror Lorca, that his time spent in the Prime Universe is what screwed his eyes up, or his transition over to the Prime Universe messed his eyes up. But they have said it more than once about the lighting on this universe.
Or it could just be that the Prime Universe is too fucking bright for him. Because that was like no, like, I mean, seriously, because that was a really faded orange. Like, everything was like a dullish bronze, had a hue to it. So if he's in our universe, like, we're all fucking bright rainbowed and bushy tailed, like, I mean, I'm wondering if that whole, like, weird golden hue, bronze hue, whatever you want to call it, throughout the whole place is what messes his eyes up. Like, it's not there, so his eyes are not accustomed to the light and they can't handle it.
Agreed. Yeah, I do think that they're not, like we've said before, nothing in this show is said just to be a throwaway line, so I think you're right. So you're not disagreeing that it's Mirror Lorca?
No, I'm just saying if it is, like, that's a cool thing that they pointed out. Like, I still am completely unsure. Like, I don't even want to make a call in either direction because I'm just like, I got no fucking idea. But everybody else seems to be on board with the mirror thing, so I'll just deny it until I'm proven wrong.
I'm sticking with Mirror Lorca.
As am I. I definitely think that is the right assumption there on everybody's part.
Part of me would like it not to be now, just because we've guessed everything else right. And, you know, something I was watching today, they said, you know, we're in TV that's past the beheading of Ned Stark at the end of season 1. Like, you've got to throw a twist at us because we expect, you know, we're okay with that. You can twist on the twist for me. It's fine. So, you know, it's not the old school stuff where you don't have to, these twists are written in and they need to be there because we expect it on TV these days now. But I don't know. I don't want to be right because I'm never right. And it's always great when I'm surprised when my brain's going one way and the show's like, nah, fucker, this is where we're going.
Nice.
So moving on from her monologue, or during her monologue, we finally see Saru in this universe, and he is
he's a slave.
A slave, that's right.
A slave.
And he gets to give her daily oh man, I wrote it down because I didn't know what it meant, but it's a bath. But he said like ablutions or something, and I was like, I learn a word every time I take notes on this friggin' show and turn closed captions on. So she ends up, I know, right? She ends up getting her. She's bathed and polished, and he's you know, dressing her and making sure, you know, it's like anytime you see a king get dressed for battle and in like any medieval show, like it's exactly the way she's being dressed by him as a slave. So, you know, she had to work her way up.
Sidebar conversation here real quick. Speaking of Burnham. In this episode, did any of you guys find her a bit more attractive than in the previous episodes?
I mean, she's always been a good-looking woman. I mean, even back on her Walking Dead days. So they did take a point to like stick her in like negligee in front of a window with some nice lighting. Yeah, right. I was like, all right, so we have we have some sexy clothes in the future. That's fine.
Actually, I had like I had a mental thought. Well, Jesus Christ, that sounded real stupid.
You take that mental thought with you, man. Go ahead.
Yeah. So anyways, when that scene happened, I went to myself, I was like, why is she walking around like a 90? And then I was like, I mean, okay, it's like a one piece, I get it. They're trying to show that she's in like sleeping attire, but they're not making her like, they're not over sexualizing it too, you know? So I was like, all right, but at the same time, I was like, I don't feel like any of them really ever are not in a uniform. You know, like they're always in a uniform. So I just figured she would have pants on.
We are 25, 30 years past like Beverly Crusher and like her nightgown. You know, so I'm. Yes. And well, just wearing a low cut out. This is your uniform. Here, yes. Take your low cut uniform for the show. Here you go. So let's see. So after she's dressed, she goes straight to the transporter room, and we get to witness what execution looks like in the Mirror Universe, which is goddamn disturbing.
Yeah, just beaming them straight off into space and letting the cold vacuum there of space take care of them.
That's rough. And of course they showed us that to make us not surprised later on in the episode, so it's kind of a standard, okay, now we know this is going to happen.
Yeah, you know she can kill, so the number's only going to get higher.
Right. I mean, she's going to let the system happen to a certain extent, because she can't show too much differing from the straight and narrow of their world.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I understand that. She's basically like a nature photographer or filmer at this point. Like, hey man, if you see that little baby goat get eaten by an alligator, you just stay the shit back. There ain't nothing you can do about it. Let nature take its course.
Yeah, especially, but only when it comes to that side. Only when it comes to the bad guys.
Yeah.
Let's see. After the awesome transporter thing, we get some more monologue, and she's talking with Ash in bed, and she's saying that it's getting easier to pass as one of them, which is exactly what she fears the most, is what she said. And it's, I don't think she's doing as good of a job as she thinks she is, personally, especially by the end of the episode.
Well, I think that was the whole point. Like, she had to be shaky by the end of the episode, because even if, like, she was, the Emperor's number one, basically, the fact that she didn't blow up that planet right away, the Emperor's like, something's up.
Right.
Like, my Michaels would have just had been like, cool, and annihilated everything and flown on home with Lorca.
Right. I don't think there's anything she could say or produce to the Emperor that's going to sway her from being very suspicious of her in the coming episodes.
Yeah, I mean, well, unless she gives him that disc, that may, but the Emperor's still going to ask questions. I don't think she'll be able to keep it together.
Yeah, and the range of emotion and stuff that she has to be going through, knowing, just seeing her again at the end is just what, like, just throws her for a loop. I mean, she can't, with everything that happened in the past, she's dying to keep it together. So after that, we go with while she's talking to Ash, Saru comes in with breakfast, and I like how she, like, kind of, goes into character, and she's like, I'm done with you. Get out.
So, yeah, question about that real quick here. Is that how that stuff works in the mirror universe? Like, is it more, I don't know, is she that way because she's the captain of the ship, or is she that way because she's a female? Is she that way just because it's the mirror universe? Like, I don't know. Does that make any sense?
Oh, I know what you're saying. What you're asking is if we evolve like praying mantis and we just the women just eat their men when they're done with them. It may happen. I don't know. I think that especially because he's her security guard, there's no reason for her to ever have a relationship with him in that universe. So if she's just banging him, then it would be more obvious for her just to be like, okay, I'm done with you. Get out, to not arise any suspicion.
Well, yeah, I mean, she's also the captain of the Shinjo, and everybody is fucking scared to shit of her. So they're probably just going to assume it's like she's just having her way with somebody, and it just happens to be the security officer. And anybody that's probably looking on that ship's going, I mean, yeah, he's maybe the security dude, but he's really not that bad looking of a guy. So, more props to her. Like, I don't think anybody would be questioning. It's not like it would be such a weird thing for someone in power to take advantage of someone below them.
Yeah, especially in this universe. I completely agree. Hell, especially now in Hollywood. Ooh.
Yeah.
Pop culture reference. She calls Saru his name accidentally. When he brings her the food and he's taken aback, and then she's like, I'm going to call you Saru because of an old friend or an old acquaintance or something. And he's, I'm not sure if that's even his name. I mean, he may have never even had a name within like his cult, within like his race. He said last episode a slave has no name.
Has no name.
But I mean,
right.
if you have a culture where like all the slaves hang out, they probably all call each other something, but chances are he didn't name himself Saru, like probably not, who knows. So she gives him a name, therefore unintentionally bestowing more of a protection. Like she triggers like, he's like, she likes me a little bit more than most of the slaves, so I have to protect her more, which comes in handy later on. I think she that statement inadvertently saves her life.
Absolutely. I think that's a great pickup on that, Clay. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's actually it's not something that I had actually thought of until you just mentioned it. So that's why I like it. You surprised me. So good job.
I'll send you $5 in PayPal for doing that. Thank you. You're good.
I just like that Saru chucked his ass.
Oh, I know. We're getting there. Yes. Again, we know how strong that son of a bitch is.
Yeah, dude. I'm like, that guy needs to be wrecking shop, man. Like, his little tendrils or whatever, man, should never come out anymore. That guy's got to know he's a bona fide badass.
Are any of you kind of are any of you kind of let down that instead of the mirror Saru, because current Saru is like way more advanced than his other kin, but so he's an abnormality in his race. Saru is, other than just being prey to whatever the alphas are on their planet. So him being in Starfleet is a rarity. That being said, if we're speaking of an entire race and they're all slaves in the Mirror universe, they haven't really made much of a change from the Prime universe. So I feel like if we were going to see Saru in the Mirror universe, he was going to be, and I think Corey, you mentioned this last week, like some sort of like fucking grade A badass.
Yeah, like I don't understand how you can in the Mirror universe where everything is supposed to be, you know, bad guys here, good guys there, like that kind of thing. Then, like, yeah, Saru's cool, but he's still like kind of a big chicken, and they just were like, nope, we're gonna make him even more, you know. But it was weird. Like I was really expecting him to be like
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, or at least not a slave, man. Like anything but a slave, you know. Like, but I guess maybe now that everybody's kind of getting a little pissy with it or whatever, maybe that was the whole point, you know. Like everyone's like, why did they do that? Just because it was a topic getter.
Right, and I know I personally was let down by the fact that, to Yell's point, I felt that he was going to be, you know, opposite of what he was, you know, be a total badass or whatever, and then I think they went the opposite direction, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what they did.
What he was. So I thought that was a nice little twist that I was not expecting.
Right, a twist that I'm really kind of like, well, shit.
Exactly.
But you know, his little like security fucking things, man, they never popped out anytime Burnham walked around him.
Nope.
Well, she's definitely not a threat.
Why wouldn't she? Like, but if he's built to be scared of any kind of alpha,
exactly.
They would just everywhere he walked on that ship, they would be permanently stuck out. So it's either one that he's been beaten in submission so bad that he just is. They don't work. They cut him out. They did something like that, or he secretly is giving away hints that like Burnham is not really that. Just she's good.
Yeah,
like there's no threat there. You know, I mean, like I understand what you're saying by she's not a threat, but like I'm also kind of like, why isn't he like flipping the fuck out anybody else gets around him, because he should be scared of them all.
Exactly. I'm with you on that one, Corey. I totally agree.
So from there, we move on. So Tilly, she gets a phone call from Tilly, who strikes the most badassest pose when she holograms in there, and she is loving her role as captain.
Tilly lover, Tilly lover, Tilly lover.
I am. I fucking love her. She is the greatest thing ever, and she, you know, even though she like double kills Stamets in this episode, I don't care. It's fine. She still can do no wrong in my eyes.
Yeah, and Tilly looks good in those pants, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I know it's she's, you know, like I'm stuttering about it because that's how good she looks, man. Like, let's face it, she's just a pretty lady in a pretty outfit. That's right. You look pretty, and your armor is sexy. I can't help it. It is awesome. I am supposed to admire this. You have not put her in hammer pants. She is in skin tight clothing. Yeah, like let's face it. If you're going to put somebody like that in tight clothing, man, you're going to be noticed.
That's right. So she calls. She has a nice couple words for Burnham, and then they put Saru on. Burnham reports to Saru that she has the files on the Defiant, but the files are too big for her to send off the ship without being noticed. And she's like, I will find a way to get him to you. I don't know how yet. Saru asks her if she's met any Kelpians on board because there's so few in their universe, and she chooses not to tell him that he's a slave in this universe. Correct. And then he chooses to not tell her about Culber because we switch right to him and Tilly when they hang up the Skype call. When they hang up, and this is where we hear the first time that everyone on Discovery believes that Stamets got out and killed Culber. You know, they think that Culber let him out, you know, because he can't stand to see his, you know, husband confined, and that Stamets in his altered mental state killed him. So no one's looking outside of those two right now for the incident that occurred. And from there, Tilly is saying, look, medicine is not working treating Stamets. This is a sport issue, which means no one on the ship is more qualified to treat him than me. So she's like, I can do this. And I love, I'm going to do it. There's some Tilly stuff in this episode that I love. You see her taking a stand and being like, look, I can fucking do this.
Yep, I was just gonna say, I think that her being the mirror captain, acting like that, has definitely given her more confidence in herself, especially when she asks Saru to recommend her for the, captain's class, whatever the hell it was.
Right, perfectly timed.
Yes,
we'll get there.
Exactly.
We'll get there. So we're seeing her more and more standing up for herself and doing things that before she met Burnham, we know that her character would never have done, which is really cool to see. And like I say, it sticks with my theory that this show is not about Michael Burnham or Lorca or anybody. It's about Tilly. And when their story ends, we're just going to follow Cadet Tilly all the way through to the captaincy. I'm great with it. I'm fine with that.
Keep dreaming there, buddy. Keep dreaming.
And to circle back though to the conference call, basically with Saru, the fact that they both spared each other's feelings right there, you can see that they're secretly building that bridge back between the two.
Yeah, they're
like how there's always that kind of tension, but the fact that he spared her feelings and she spared his, like it's a way of showing that they're getting closer to each other without really saying it.
Yeah, their friendship is there and they don't even know it.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
They're both so blind to it that it's like gonna slap him in the face here in a minute.
Exactly.
I actually think that they don't realize it, but they actually need each other more than they realize that they need each other.
I would agree with that. But yeah, so we're so from there we are back on the Shinzu and we get a hail from Captain Maddox of the Imperial flagship. And so Captain Maddox is the one who flies around the Emperor.
Yes. And I have a question about that real quick. When did it become a thing to say so-and-so wants an audience? Like, that's kind of new to me. When did that do? Is that a new thing? Did I miss something in previous Star Treks? I mean, so-and-so is asking for an audience. Like, what the hell does that mean? Like, come on.
But isn't that just because it's probably like they're trying to illustrate that they're under like imperial rule, like
royalty type talk?
Yeah, there's going to be a little blue blood dialogue that happens because there's an emperor.
I don't know. I just kind of thought it was unnecessary.
I mean, it's a little cheesy, but it's also a way to paint that there's a dictatorship or like an
monarchy.
Emperor. Yeah, like some kind of royal decree shit's going on.
I have a more important question. So put yourself on the ship that Captain Maddox is having the Skype call on. How goofy does that son of a bitch look when he's walking up stairs that aren't there? Like, it bothers me that the holograms fucking walk around. I'm like, where the fuck are you that you're doing this phone call where you're like walking up towards the captain's chair? Like, that has to look like the goofiest shit to everyone else around him. Like, here he goes, walking the fuck around in the hologram again, like a douchebag. I mean, come on.
He's probably in his room going around, and then there's probably triangulation that goes on within that spaceship, so when they walk up the steps, it just moves the hologram up. It's not like the asshole's actually in his fucking room and he's got like, oh shit, she's in her captain's chair, there's one step, let me go get my fake one step and stand on it real quick and keep walking on my little platform, like,
well, I'm just saying.
I mean, like, we're gonna believe people are in space right now, and you're going to question why the holograms are walking around, like not expecting that there's probably some kind of crazy science going on making all that shit work the way it does.
Yeah, because you and I are both in IT, and we both know that shit, he would like phase through something and like fall through the floor because...
Well, that's why I'm saying there's some triangulation. Dude, if I can see Tupac on stage next to Snoop Dogg, like I can have a guy walking up a step. That's a hologram, all right?
Okay.
We got Tupac back, man.
Okay, I will put it to the computer. The Skype program is very, very advanced at this point. All right, so she receives her orders from Captain Maddox from the Emperor, and they're literally go to Harlech, kill the Firewolf, kill every fucking body else on the planet. Don't do anything else. That's her orders, which she does not stick to. We learned that the Firewolf is she's like this is one of the times where she kind of slips up, but not really. But she's like, what she really did is she studied really hard for her test, and she's making sure her teacher knows. So when he's like, we've located the Firewolf, and she's like, the Klingon leader of the rebellion. Like, we know you studied. Like, stop. We fucking know. Like, you don't have to say it out loud. We all in this room know who the Firewolf is.
Correct. Kind of overcompensating.
Right. She's like, I did it. I studied. I know exactly who that is. We also hear, and I meant to, son of a bitch, I meant to look this up before the thing, but she mentions another study topic, Terran General Order 4, any exotic species deemed a threat to the Imperial supremacy will be extinguished without prejudice. That is, I didn't know, I think I read somewhere that like was mentioned in a different Star Trek episode, whether it be Enterprise or the original series or something, but she said that on purpose. Do you remember anything else hearing that, Luke?
To be honest with you, I don't. I wish I could say yes, but no, I honestly don't remember.
Somebody one of you two, Google that while I'm sitting here. Terran General Order 4. If you get any good answer other than this episode, let me know. But other than that, we'll leave it be. And then, so like her number one, the redhead girl, she's like, "Hey, I'm arming torpedoes, so we're ready to go as soon as we get there." And Burnham's like, "No, I'm going to kill him face to face. I'm going to lead the landing party, and we're going to do it my way. It's my orders. I'll obey them as I interpret them." So, that kind of throws her number one off a little bit, but she doesn't raise any more questions. So then, the next scene we see her talking to Lorca in the in the torture area next to the agony chamber or whatever they call it. I think it's right. Is that right? Agony chamber?
Torture chamber.
But it's not a torture chamber. There's actually a term for it. I think it's the agonizer or something like that. It's really weird. I do not remember off the top of my head, but Lorca's looking a little rough. He is not handling this as well as he should be.
No,
all right, so General Order 4 is that Starfleet expressly forbids the death penalty. So in the mirror universe, it's going to mean kill the shit out of everything.
That's fucking awesome. Correct. I like that. Good Googling, sir. Good Googling. Nice. Okay, cool. So now we know that. So now we know that Terran General Order 4 is literally the exact opposite of...
exact polar opposite, yes.
We see that Burnham is really, really intrigued with the rebellion that is happening because she says it's literally the closest thing this universe has to a federation. It's multiple... it's multiple species, races coming together, with a common goal. And she's like, look, I need to gain intel on how this Klingon, because she knows that the lead guy, that the Firewolf is a Klingon. She's like, I need to figure out how this Klingon leads them because she wants to find a way to negotiate with Klingons in their own universe, which is really friggin' smart on her part.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and then poor Lorca's like, hurry back, please. It's like, I can't.
Yeah, he was begging like that, and I was telling you this earlier, Clay. Lorca to me is like my favorite character on the show. But then to see him, I get that he's been agonized, tortured, whatever term you want to put on it. But he was weak as you know what, and that's I'm not a fan of Lorca when he's like that. As much as I love his character, I'm just like, wow. If he was that way all the time, kind of weak or whatever, I wouldn't like his character. So I hope that his torment is just temporary.
Yeah, he'll be fine. He'll be fine at the end, or he'll be dead. I mean, one or the other.
Exactly.
So we are back in engineering now. They got Stamets plugged into the spore drive box. They're not going to spore drive him, but they got him plugged in. And I did not write any of the shit Tilly said because it was all fucking spore technobabble. But she's explaining. Don't laugh, Corey. I'm not doing it. She started talking. I was like, nah, I'm going to write some techno brain babble.
What do you mean a 6-syllable word? Nope, fuck that.
Not doing that, right.
Didn't you call it astromycology?
Whatever. I don't know. I didn't write it down, and I don't remember, but I think you're right. But pretty much it all boils down to, we got to give him some spores. That's exactly what it boiled down to. She's like, we got to put the network inside of him. So she starts, they're going to start their treatment on Stamets with spores. Great. Awesome. Next scene.
Well, That makes sense because that's exactly what they did with the tardigrade when it went all dormant or whatever. So that was kind of an obvious answer that I guess we kind of didn't think of, you know?
Makes sense. And I didn't put that together, but you're right. That's what they gave it to knock it out of hibernation.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's good. So we know that Stamets is going to get work done as we progress in this episode. So Burnham and Tyler beam down. They immediately are taking fire from Cliff from the surrounding area. She surrenders. What bothers me is like,
are they that bad of shots with those bigger guns?
I don't think they were trying to kill him because those shots they were spread out and basically creating a funnel. You know, like they were like, nope, you're not going right. Nope, you're not going backwards. Nope, you're not going left. Like just sit your ass where you're at, and we'll come get you. Yeah,
I completely agree. What bothered me was like, so you talk all this other stuff before you in your quarters with Tyler, but you don't brief him on your fucking plan before you beam down because he was like, we gotta fucking kill everybody. Like, no, dude, it's like chill. Like we know we're gonna meet some hostility. We need to show like you could at least have been like, just don't aim that gun at anybody. Don't aim the phaser at anybody. Just keep it pointed down.
Yeah, but do you think that's just them showing that like the Vogue side of him is like ramped up?
Well,
that's how I interpreted it.
Yeah, I mean that's what I took it as, was like that he's having that inner struggle. So like his normal, oh yeah, dude, I'm totally in sync with Burnham, and like we're super copacetic and everything's awesome. Like no, it's not. It like he's going fucking batshit insane, and like his primal instincts taking over, and it just so happens that his primal instinct's a badass Cleon. So he's like, yo, we gotta fight, bro. Like, hey, bro, you want to do this, bro? Like that's where that guy's at right now.
So you're saying he's from the Jersey Shore?
Totally agree.
Okay, so we see the people that take them hostage, or they surrender to, or whatever. We see an Andorian, a Klingon, a Vulcan, and a Tellarite, which, Corey, you may not know this, but if you take the Klingons out and throw humans in, you have the original 4 species in the Federation.
Gotcha.
So that's what they're showing is like this literally, they've swapped places. Like the race of humanity and the race of Klingons have really, in these two universes, have swapped places.
Yeah, because they're supposed to be the bad guy in ours.
Right, exactly. So it was kind of cool. I liked it. I liked seeing Luke. Did you like the updated version of a Tellarite? The pig nose guys?
Yes. No, yeah. Of course I know what a Tellarite is. Come on.
I'm letting everyone else who's first time listening, hello, welcome to the podcast.
Okay. Yes, welcome. No, I absolutely thought that they did a great job with all the updated versions of the species. My favorite one was the Andorian. I thought that that's probably my favorite looking one. I know a lot of people I've read online, didn't like it because, for whatever reason, I can't remember now. But I personally really liked it. I thought they did a bang-up job with it. And that's another thing that I really like about Discovery. I mean, minus getting used to the Klingons, I think their makeup and the way they gave these species upgrades have just been phenomenal and spot on.
Yeah, I do like, especially, I can kind of see the Andorian thing be if those people that were bitching enjoyed Enterprise, which I did, because the Andorians were key in that series, and they were awesome. Correct. They were awesomely done. But I did like the updates to everybody. No one is unrecognizable. Even the Klingons at the very beginning, it's like, you're a Klingon. Yeah, you don't have any hair or goatees or Fu Manchus, but you're a goddamn Klingon.
Or ridges, but hey, you're a Klingon.
They have ridges? What are you talking about?
Okay.
It's like nerd fight.
Exactly.
So they're brought in front of the Firewolf, which, boom, is Vogue. And so last week's theories that we laid down...
Did you notice the skull head ridges, though?
What skull head ridges?
When they were showing Vogue getting transformed,
yep,
his skull had ridges.
Yeah, well, he emphasizes the fact that he still has a good Klingon skull during the fight, too.
Yeah, so, I mean, what if his just haven't, protruded? Did they protrude later? You know, like what I'm saying? Like,
maybe they put
not that he's not that he's not of age or whatever, but is it just one of those things like they kind of like a tusk, it just continues to grow?
So so you're saying Tyler?
When they were showing
Him getting chopped
Right.
up.
Yeah, and then and you were seeing the Cleon skeleton.
Right, the
he had
X-ray.
ridges on his skull.
Right. I'm assuming they must have filled it in, or a little Botox, a little something to make sure you don't see the ridges.
No,
through.
I'm saying how Vogue doesn't really have like those crazy ridges that like everybody's complaining about with the Cleon. So like I'm asking, are they like a tusk or something? Do they continue to grow, or are they just there?
I think they're just there when they're born, but I think, to your point, I noticed that as well when he was on the table and they were cutting him up. Like, his head had more ridges on it than what he was when he was before the surgery.
Yeah, it was like it was like the flesh was so thick it just covered him or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. So okay, so that's what I was like. Do they just grow? But I remember seeing in previous Star Trek episodes, on the few I did catch, like I've seen a child Cleon and it had some pretty solid ridges on its forehead, like right from the get go. But I was like, I don't know, maybe he's an albino, like he's way different. He's so like, is he just completely unique? Like, is he just different?
Yeah, I'm looking at pictures right now. He's got ridges that are when X-rayed would probably show up the way we saw them. So,
okay.
I mean, it's not necessarily as great as you see other Klingons, but I think from what we saw in the X-ray, that's I wouldn't be too worried about that. Don't worry, it's not like Takuvma. Like we kind of had a thought, like there's been a little bit like maybe he's a Klingon, just not Vogue, but he's Vogue. Unless he didn't say still he was Vogue. No, he did. We're good. I don't know.
Yeah, I just was curious about how the ridges worked. I mean, that's I don't. You're already like, oh well, geez, man, you're going all conspiracy theory us already, man.
I need to stop that. We're good. He's Vogue. We're gonna leave it at that. We only got 4 episodes left, or 4 or 5, so we can't go too crazy.
Yeah, you were like, hey, there's a rabbit hole. I'm just fuck it, guys. I'm gonna go jump down this one.
That's right.
Hey, that's what this podcast is for. Damn it. So we meet Vogue. We see, as we predicted on this podcast first last week, like Tyler, he immediately like starts losing it. You could see him starting to come apart at the seams, and we learn.
Well, isn't his code word Kalis? Isn't that the code word that gets him out of the?
He's got more. That whole prayer is supposed to kick him in. The whole prayer was not just Kalish, but the whole prayer.
Gotcha.
Yeah. You got to say it with the SH because they're saying it with the SH now. It's like from the back of the throat. It's really weird. I know.
I
do love when he switches voices. Like, it is the coolest shit ever. I'm like that's baller right there. Like, way to go, buddy. So we learn as Vogue is talking to Burnham that she is known as the burster of the binary stars. So something happened in the same place it happened in the Prime universe, but she's the one that annihilated everybody. And then Vogue's like, I don't trust you until my prophet tells me to trust you. And then we get throwback to the old school, the original series, goatee and all. Sarek comes out with his goatee. So now we know he's bad side Sarek.
And even though he's a good guy.
Even though he is still a good guy. Correct. So, now that you say that, so maybe the whole species thing we were talking about with Saru isn't so off-putting because it's really just the humans that are fucked up in this universe.
Yeah, pretty much.
So all the other races are still doing things that are kind of in the way their races do it. And I kind of see that now. Way to go, Corey. Way to pull that out.
Yeah.
So he mind melds with her and sees all of her past childhood with him. He sees himself, the Prime Universe version of himself, and he is taken aback is the best way to put it.
Yeah, I think he's like, if he was human, he'd say, what the fuck did I just see?
Right, exactly. He's like, wait a second, there's a way better place than this shithole I live in. So
absolutely.
She wants the whole group to evacuate. She wants some intel that they have, and she also wants to talk to Vogue. She's like, I need to understand how your races have come together. And then Vogue starts speaking of Kailash, and yes, that's when Tyler is just like having a goddamn seizure.
Yeah.
So Vogue is saying that they're united by a common enemy, which may come up later on in the plot when it comes to negotiating with the Klingons, because in Star Trek lore, the Romulans show up and everybody just pretty much is like, oh, we kind of hated you, but we really fucking hate those guys. So we can work together to fuck with the Romulans. So that's fine.
Yes.
So through Vokes talking, Tyler finally snaps, and in Klingon he yells, "Remain Klingon or die!" And then we get what Corey mentioned earlier, one of the badass fights of the episode. A little throwdown between both Vokes.
But why didn't the mirror Voke just go ahead and kill Ash / Voke? Like I don't like, if it's in their nature to fight to the death, he clearly made it a conscious effort to spare him at the end. So, any thoughts on as to why?
Well, I think it just bounces back to the mirror universe. Like, whatever the Klingons' code is, like, their code's going to be binding as it is. It'll be just as binding, but it'll be different. So maybe there is a, graceful defeat, spare your opponent, blah, blah, blah. Like, I know he's like, I should kill him, but he says he should kill him just because he's the dark side, like people that they're fighting, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's a Terran, like
standard
he
human.
Doesn't go, yeah, he's human. Like, he doesn't go, I kill you because of my code. He goes, I kill you because you're a fucking asshole, man. Like that's why I wanted to take him out. So I think that's just that's just the reason right there. It's just a mirror universe. So if it would have been back on our side of things in Prime, yeah, it would have instantly been like a beheading. But if that's how it would have happened there, then there's got to be a second chance kind of thing going on the other side.
Right. The Terrans of this universe would have killed at the end of that fight, but the Klingons in this universe will not. Will not. Yeah. So that's pretty much what we're seeing.
Gotcha.
Okay. So she grabs some intel that they're going to make useless, later on. She gives them an hour to evacuate what they need to. Get everybody off the planet. She's still going to strafe it with photon torpedoes, but no one's going to really be there. And they beam back to Discovery. She gives her number one the intel, says, had this analyzed, and it's like, Tyler, you're with me, and they go back to her quarters. Or they leave the transporter room. Quarters is a later on scene. Because then we're now back with Tilly and Saru in engineering. The treatment's looking good. Stamets is through her technobabble, he's replying, he's working well with the treatments. Something she says, and I love pulling quotes when they like linger on a quote and you can tell that she's delivering it like perfectly, so everyone who's watching can listen to what she says. She says, fungi are the only organism with the biological aptitude to link death with life. And she says it like to Saru, yes, and to the camera.
Foreshadowing. Yep, foreshadowing on how they're going to bring back the Doctor.
Right,
yes.
Everyone's coming back.
Yes.
Yeah, and she made sure to make sure she said that to the camera practically. And then of course Saru says how impressed he is with her, and she's like, "Are you impressed enough to recommend me for the command training program?" And he's like, "Yeah, when we get back to a fucking universe that has a command training program, I'll consider it." She timed that perfectly because that's when Stamets like fucking dies.
He bottoms out.
Just bottoms out, and she's like, "Well, this is awkward." It's like, I can't. I'm sorry. Forget what I said earlier about the command training program. I'm just gonna chill over here.
Okay, but did any of us really think he was dead for real?
No, of course not. And
no, of course not. Right. Okay.
Especially if you watch After Trek, that couple has got a lot of plot armor protection from the writers. The writers are never going to kill those two, for real.
Right. And they actually went. I don't know if you guys read this or not, but they went through GLAD to before they killed off the Doctor to make sure that they would be okay with that.
No, well, true,
yep.
But you also know that he's not. From After Trek last week, he's not really dead. The writers, the writers are like, we're not going to kill this. We're not going to kill the first gay couple in Star Trek history in 10 episodes.
But some people that didn't watch the After Trek, like, they were all upset online. Oh my gosh, the first gay couple, you go and kill one of them off and all that stuff. And then they, Star Trek, CBS, released a statement saying that they went through GLAD first, and GLAD gave it the stamp of approval, so we're all good on this.
Right. Just watch the After Trek, and they're like, what they really wanted, they didn't want GLAD to be like blowing up Twitter, like shitting on Discovery when they killed the gay couple. I'll give them that. Okay, so now shit gets nuts. We are with Burnham and Tyler in her quarters. and she lays into him. She still is just like, no one knows what's going on with him. She's, you've endangered the mission. You couldn't handle it back, on the Discovery. I saw it on the Discovery. I saw it on.
You couldn't cut super sensitive data with ease out of space and bring us in this capsule. You were fucking shaking, man. No shit, I was shaking. I'm cutting sensitive data out of space. Like, I love how they threw that at him, though. Like, I mean, I know he's supposed to be all highly trained and nothing rattles him, but geez.
Right. And this is where it gets kind of like, if you watch the scene again, Luke, I know you've watched it at least 2 or 3 times.
Yes.
Knowing that his consciousness has been laid atop of Voke's consciousness, we watch Ash Tyler die in this scene. He dies.
Absolutely.
And he gets to, he's trying to do what he can to explain it away, and it's not working. You can tell that he's saying it, but he doesn't even believe he's saying it. He gets to tell her that he loved her as well, because I think she said, "I loved you," or she says it, then he says it like later on in his like, but you get to watch him say goodbye to her before he dies.
Correct.
And I didn't really catch it the first time watching it, but watching it today when I was taking my notes, like it's a little intense.
It is very intense. Absolutely.
You tear up a little bit there, Clay?
I did not tear up on that one. I do tear up on a lot of things, but that was not one of them. But it was very heart-wrenching when you could just thinking about the two entities in that body, and like you're watching one of them literally, he knows he's about to stop existing.
I did like how they pulled out the old like, hey, I'm talking to you and I'm looking at you this way and my head's going to kind of roll in one direction, and when I open my eyes, I'm not the same person. It's like, but he did it well. He did it really, really fucking well. Like, and then he starts speaking and you were like, oh, get the fuck out of town. No way, you son of a bitch. Like, it was awesome.
Yeah, they pulled a card from like exorcism movies.
Yes.
Like where they start talking in their normal voice, and then they roll their head, and it's like boom, they're in demon voice, and that's exactly what we saw. It's very cool what that actor has to do to go through that.
I was gonna say probably one of the best pure acting scenes I think out of the series so far.
Right, and so to take a little bit of a sidebar,
don't you take my light.
Yeah, well, I want to go deeper into this actor because on the After Trek, the name that was listed as the actor that played Voke is that actor's father, his father who's passed away. Like, so they let him pick the name of the fake actor they're going to put in IMDb and out on the whatever. And it was very cool to hear the backstory of like how he got to pick that name of the guy who was listed as the actor who played Voke. Very, very cool. And yes, probably I would say of all of the characters on this show, that guy had the hardest job.
Absolutely. I don't ever recall seeing him in anything else ever, and to have this be sort of his first stand-up role, I think he has done he has nailed it, just nailed it. I mean, there's no other word for it. He's done a fantastic job, and he brings a lot of emotion to his acting, and I can't picture it being anybody else now at this point. It's like, Captain Picard of the Enterprise, I can't picture anybody else but Patrick Stewart playing him,
Right.
I can't picture anybody else playing Ash, I can't.
Like, has he pigeonholed himself now, though?
No,
not at all.
You think?
No, he's fine.
Like, is he going to be able to go out and be anything else but Vogue and Tyler? Like, is he gonna can you see him in a big action movie or like a movie doing anything else?
Well, he's not really built for action.
He kind of looks like the long lost brother of the Property Brothers, so
like the Middle Eastern version of the Property Brothers. Yeah,
exactly.
Oh man. Okay, so like we said a minute ago, he rolls his neck and clicks into the Vogue voice, which is creepy as shit, and immediately starts being, he tells her that he killed Culber. So the first second she gets a chance to talk to Saru, she's going to let him know, hey, it's not Stamets. Like, that's not who killed him. This son of a bitch killed him. She's got a fucking phaser on him.
And she doesn't pull the trigger.
Shoot. You even had it on stun. Shoot the son of a bitch.
The son of a bitch.
Yes,
thank you.
I think I tweeted something to that effect, like shoot his ass. Like, just do it. So no, she takes a chance.
She couldn't. She loves him.
Yeah, but well, true. Until he, but then even while she's got the phaser on him, finger on the trigger, and he tells her that you fight like a coward when you scratched at my eyes, and she's like, I didn't testify to that. So you fucking know that your boyfriend's not just losing it. That son of a bitch is the guy you fought on the Klingon ship.
Yeah, but that's the whole point of love, man. It makes you blind. Love is blind, dude. Like it's a fucking analogy or whatever the hell that shit's called for a reason. Like it makes you do dumb shit. She's in love with him. She's stupid around him. Like he could be flipping out trying to stick his head in space right now, and she'd be like, "No, come back! Don't go in that hole. We'll both die together." Like she was gone, man. That's it. That's all I got.
That's all you got. I was. So did you guys so he disarms her. Did you guys notice that she went for a Vulcan neck pinch next?
Yes, and didn't quite happen.
Didn't get it. He blocked it. But
nope, he blocked it.
I did not notice it the first time, but watched it the second time. I was like, that's cool as shit. That her instincts of her upbringing like kick in automatically, and she's like, nope, neck pinch this son of a bitch. I'm gonna get him, and she doesn't. But anyway, so Slave Saru, Hulk chucks this son of a bitch across her quarters, and she says, hey, number one, go prep the transporter. His execution will happen swiftly or something.
Yeah, and it kind of, when she said that, I was like, man, is she really gonna kill him? And I know that's leading up to, what we're going to get into here shortly,
yeah.
So I'll save it, but...
True, and there's a quick scene we have to get through before we have to talk about some plot hole stuff. So,
yes.
So we jump back to Discovery. Tilly is staring at Stamets' dead body. They haven't moved out of the spore drive yet. I don't know if they're like...
Yeah, I that was my first question, was like, if he's dead, why is he still sitting in there?
I don't know. Oh, and back to earlier when he was flatlining, and Saru was like, no, he called the medical crew, and she's like, no, trust me, it's gonna work. Like watching her defeat, like the defeat she showed in her face when he didn't believe her, that almost made me tear up more than Ash dying, Corey.
What about those two medics? Where have they been this whole entire season?
Not in sick bay. Not in fucking sick bay. That's for damn sure. A lot of people with stubbed toes and shit making house calls.
Maybe they were making. Yeah, I was about to say maybe they're doing house calls on the ship.
It's a good ship. Okay, so she's watching Stamets. She's defeated. Stamets twitches, and she's oh shit, what's going on? And then we see Stamets in his mind, we see him in the forest that he always talks about, the spore forest. And from a distance, you hear Mirror Stamets say, hello, Paul. Ready to get to work? I so hoped you'd find your way. And that's I can't wait for those two. Like, that dude's cool enough as one character, but watching him twice is going to be fucking awesome.
Absolutely. I'm definitely, that's other than the Ash, other than the Ash and Vogue plot. I mean, my next favorite plotline is going to be, the two Stamets here in the network. I think that's pretty badass, and I'm curious to see what they're going to do with that.
Yeah, well, that other Stamets should be fucking happy as shit then, because this Stamets, even though he's a good guy, is always fucking sad-faced and Eeyored. Like, oh, man, I got this really cool power. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I was touched, and then this Stamets, even though he's a bad dude, or supposedly, comes walking up, and he's all, got that, evil grin to him, and, I'm like, dude, he's gonna be a happy bad guy. Not goofy happy, but, where he's doing evil plots, and he's smiling the whole fucking time, and you're like, damn, dude, you really enjoy the bad shit, don't you? I stole a baby. It doesn't get much more evil than that kind of shit, you know?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he skipped up to the other Stamets. We just didn't see it on camera.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Did cartwheels coming up to him.
Right. Okay, so Stamets has a great plot ahead of him. I can't wait to see what happens.
Absolutely.
So now we are back in the transporter room, and let me go ahead. So this is Tyler's sentencing, where he's supposed to be beamed out into space to die. We know, I'm going to jump back. We know that we only have an hour since she was talking with Voke on the planet. We know that not an hour has passed because she wouldn't dare let that go in risk of you know, she thinks if I give him an hour, I'll be good. So we know it's not past an hour. So somehow, in getting back, getting transport on the Discovery, getting back, having her feud with Tyler, telling them we're gonna you know, get rid of this guy quickly, it's still being under an hour. She is somewhere in here. She has called the Discovery. We all can agree that, correct?
Called, sent a smoke signal. I don't know how she did it. Correct.
Right. And then, of course, I'm guessing, because a lot of people are speculating how the other ship doesn't know they're there. The Discovery is within the area. But, Luke, because you're way better at this than I am, correct me if I'm wrong, you can hide on the other side of a planet in the Star Trek world, right, from sensors.
You can hide in the gravitational waves of a planet and be hidden from any kind of...
Right.
Yes, hidden from detection, absolutely.
And so she would only have to transport him to where Discovery has a line of sight on the other side of the planet to snatch him back up.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So for anybody who's wondering how they knew they were there and what was going on, they had to do a warp. They had to warp in and pretty much do the cool, and I'm going to bring in Star Wars, I'm sorry, the cool warp stop that we're getting in all the Star Wars movies where like it's like you just see everything appear. They had to literally appear on the backside of that planet, and the Shinzu would not have known they showed up.
Correct.
Okay, so anybody who's...
Absolutely good analogy.
Yeah, anybody who's lost sleep over how the fuck the Discovery is close enough to beam him away, that's what happened. Corey, I know you rolled and tossed and turned last night.
I did. I was like, holy shit, they zapped up the frozen guy. Great. I was like, that was a smart idea.
Right.
Not one point did I go, man, they covered a lot of ground. No, I just kind of figured they were all floating in space kind of near each other.
Right. So, have either of you two seen the Bruce Willis movie Last Boy Scout?
Yes.
Yes.
She literally does a head or gut when she walks up to him on the transporter platform. Like, if she had been like, head or gut...
Yeah.
That is from Last Boy Scout, right? Like, I'm not wrong. That's from Last Boy Scout?
Yeah, or you could pull, oh man, what is it? Tropic Thunder? No, not Tropic Thunder. Man, the Will Ferrell basketball movie where he's like, you ever been punched in the jejunum?
Right? So she lays on a good slug to the gut for Tyler. While watching it the second time, you can see her hand jerk up from his holster. So she made sure as the actress to make the motion of her dropping that and putting it where it needed to be from. So we know that she dropped something for him if you're looking closely. Then of course she wants to transport him herself, which I think while she had to do this, the fact that someone...
That was a mistake on her part.
I mean, she had to, though. There was, I mean,
right,
we've seen them transport the people, which they transport them, like, right outside the ship. So there's no way the Discovery's going to snatch him up, at least living, for the intel. So we know that she had to change the coordinates to where the Discovery could reach him and then transport him there. And then as she transports him out, we get to see him materialize, and he's like, and I'm going to fucking die. And then he rematerializes. Someone snatches him right back up. She orders Lorca to her ready room. She's like, after killing him, I want to have a private interrogation with my prisoner. So we see Tyler in space, and we see Tyler not in space. And then we get a great line by Saru. He's like, Tyler says, you should let me die with honor. And he says, but we're Starfleet. We still live by Federation law. So just killing you outright is not gonna. We're not gonna let it happen here. So that was pretty cool.
Absolutely, staying true to their values, even though they're in the other universe. I think that will definitely come and help them,
especially with people who come from their universe. That's where the line is drawn. Like everybody from the other universe. I'm sorry, you're getting beamed out of space. I can't change the whole world.
Just from the mirror. Sorry.
Right, you're gonna have to be beamed into space, and that shit looked agonizing too. That was the first three.
Don't you think it would be quick though?
I mean, yeah, quickly body turning inside out. Ugh.
Right.
Nope, doesn't sound like fun to me. Sorry. Okay, so we've discussed we're gonna have to see in a flashback how she talked to Saru. It seems like that's kind of a setup that has to take a little bit of time. I think it's definitely a mess up because they're gonna track it.
Did they accidentally delete a scene or something from that?
I don't know. I mean, it's the worst. The worst thing about a streaming service is you don't have to make the show an hour. It can be an hour 5 or an hour 10. So the fact that like if we're missing parts of plot that are being cut for time, that's bullshit because it's a streaming service, CBS.
True.
So whatever. Anyway, so I don't know. I'm hoping we see a flashback, but I feel like she's leaving a lot of breadcrumbs that are about to be found really quickly.
Well, I think we sort of see that foreshadowed at the end of the episode or preview for the next episode for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so last scene, I believe. Let me scroll. Yep, last scene. All right, so she's talking with Lorca in the ready room, in the Shinzu's ready room. She's like, we should just call it now. We got the files. Let's get the fuck out of here. You know, we'll figure something out. We'll get back to Discovery. And he's like, no, we have to make sure. And he does not want to say what he's saying, but he's like, we need to make sure the files are what we need before we, kill all this.
My theory on that is, I could sort of look at this different than you, Clay. I think that he's purposely wanting to stay in the universe longer for whatever reason. I don't think he's because every time there's an option for them to get out quicker, get out sooner, speed things along, he's always not allowing that to happen. So to me, that just proves, one of our theories that he's the mirror Lorca, and he wants to stay there longer for whatever reason, some unknown reason so far.
Agree. So. Yeah, I see what you're saying there, too. Yeah, absolutely.
But he also told her just to go ahead and blow up the planet and sacrifice the people. So, I mean, he's trying to speed up something. Or did he just say that knowing that
she wouldn't do
because
it?
Because even Burnham, well, yeah, but even Burnham was like, you've been in that torture chamber too long. Like your judgment's now clouded. So, yeah, they're hinting that he's not the Lorca we know, but also would he say something like that? Cause he's trying to get Burnham to the Emperor quicker. Cause he's got something planned.
I don't know. I took it more as, just being in the mirror universe, he's used to just killing people that quickly and doesn't give it much of a thought. So I think that's why he said that.
So Luke, you're more on the nefarious Lorca side. You think that he has some dark intentions?
I don't necessarily think. You see, and we were talking about this last week. I don't think he necessarily has dark intentions. I think that's why he has been over in the Prime universe for so long. I think he wants to be good, but he's so used to being bad that things like just annihilating a planet just doesn't bother him, like it would, like it does Burnham or any other person. So I think that's why he said that. Now, whether he's got something nefarious going on, I don't necessarily think it's that. But there's definitely some ulterior motives going on.
Yeah, there's definitely something that he's hiding that we all don't know. I completely agree with that.
Yes.
And there's a little bit more that happens later here in a few seconds that leads itself to he's got some overarching plan that we don't know. But my major question that keeps going through my head every episode I watch is how bad is Mirror Lorca if he was attempting to overthrow the Emperor? I guess it depends on his motives. He's trying to overthrow her just to gain her power. That's different. But if he's trying to overthrow her because he knows that whole idea is bad, then not.
Well, then that would make him not be the Mirror Lorca.
Well, there are good people in this. Well,
no, they're
not. The good people are the one. Yeah, the good people are the ones that are getting, that are staying up to the whoever and getting, materialized into space and dying. Those,
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no any good people we see have immediately been executed. So,
which is why
True.
I think, right? But Lorca, being smart that he is, was able to escape from whomever was after him and all that stuff. I think. To your point, Clay, I definitely think that he was trying to stand up to her, not to necessarily take her power and, take the bad throne away, but definitely to turn things around because something, I think, personally has happened to him to where he wants to change the ways of the Terran Empire from not being, so bad, if that makes sense.
It makes sense. And I'm hoping that we see it before the end of this season, just for the sheer fact that I don't think we can. I think we're going to get back to the Prime Universe either the end of the second to last episode or right at the very beginning of the last episode because you can only spend so much time here for people start getting confused with what's what, and the standard person watching is like I don't even know where I am anymore. So yeah, I think we're gonna see at least next episode or maybe the one after. Like all of this is gonna start unfolding, and then it's gonna be the race to get to the Defiant to figure out how they moved universe, how they changed over universes. So it'll be interesting. I did see a cool idea because the Discovery and the Spore Drive and stuff doesn't exist in any of the canon before this show. And I'm not saying this is true, but it was kind of a cool idea. Is the Discovery gets destroyed, the whole crew goes to the Defiant. Boom, the Defiant is now the Discovery A for this thing, and then they take the Defiant back into the Prime Universe with no the Discovery's gone. Just saying.
Ooh, that's a good theory.
I didn't hate that theory. I was like, oh, I could see that. Then you're in like you're in a normal Constitution class ship, and you're ready to rock and roll. So hey. And we know the Discovery can't last forever because Spore does not exist later on, because there's no way the Federation is going to be cool with using humans to fly shit like that. Correct, physically. Yes. Okay, so she gives. Then
why do we need Stamets?
Because he's fantastic. We don't, but he's awesome.
Yeah, that Spore Drive's going to exist until he is off the show, and he's not going off the show anytime soon. That's just my personal opinion. Like right. They took the time to put appendages in him and make him like super gnarly. Like that Spore Drive's going to exist for a very long time. Now maybe they take both ships back.
Yeah, and it would be
or something like that. But I don't see how. That's super cool theory, but I think it's just that it's a theory.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to materialize.
I highly doubt it will happen because the Spore travel stuff is just way too much fun to play with for this whole series. I agree, and them like fine tuning it, and hopefully at some point pulling Stamets out of the equation. And then we go to my Section 31 theory, which is what this all is. But we're not going to that. We talked about it in an earlier podcast. I don't want to get into it.
Rabbit holes, Clay.
Rabbit holes. We're getting down those. I also wrote down, does anybody think that Lorca's getting a little redneckier in his English, his American accent he's doing? Like he got real rednecky in that last scene in the Ready Room. He was talking with a real good a good slur in his words.
Well, yeah. To your point, though, he's just been tortured for however long. And,
yeah, I don't think that guy probably fucking thinks he's a goddamn chicken, man. Like I'm surprised he's not clucking, dude. Like I'll give him a little rednecky slurred speech, man. Exactly. He's beat up and fucking tired. Like he doesn't care what he sounds like.
Now stepping back from the show, Jason Isaacs, I'm pretty sure that he's like, okay, I'm a British actor. I'm playing I'm doing an American accent. Now I've been tortured for hours or days on end. I'm probably dumber, so we're gonna go redneck.
True. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would make that leap too.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. So enough of my joking about his accent. She gets a call in the ready room that there's a massive power signature. That another ship is targeting Harlak, the planet Harlak. She leaves Lorca in the ready room with his glass of water, and immediately leaves on. When she hits the bridge, she tells two guys, go get Lorca, to get him out of her ready room. Those two guards are going to see that glass of water and know that she wasn't beating the shit out of him in that ready room and having her own fun with his private interrogation. So this is yet another breadcrumb that she's left.
Yes, that's a great call out. Absolutely, and that's something that people on the online forum that I was reading were pointing out very adamantly, and they were very angry with the writers for putting that. They're like, "Why are they doing that? Why are they doing that?" But yeah, good call out.
Nice. I'm glad I didn't read that. I noticed that myself. Damn it.
You are smart.
I am smart. I are smart. You're good. So. And she immediately stumbles into the next breadcrumb and she asks, who is it? Why can't we see them? So there's a ship in orbit they can't see. So, okay, anybody, the three of us on this podcast right now, what ship is the Emperor's ship?
She's flying that old Cleon ship with the cloak
fucking
tech.
Goddamn right she is.
Yep.
And I don't know... I can't wait to hear why she's using that ship. other than the fact they already have the sets built and it's way cheaper for the production value to just use the same ship. But I can't.
No, because Voke is the leader, but whatever dude that he was serving under was probably a leader before him in that ship, and she knew it was the ship, so she fucking went and took it because it had the cloak tech.
Exactly.
She annihilated his ass and got the most badass ship in space. That ship's the fucking Black Pearl, man.
It is.
Like if you can own that ship, you own space. especially if you're a mean motherfucker.
Right. And it's just a big giant flying middle finger to
Yeah, exactly.
Which is, I wish it was a middle finger. It kind of has that thing going. But yeah, so by Burnham asking that question, everybody on the bridge should be like, bitch, you know who that is? Like, you know whose ship this is? Like, the only ship we can't see in the entire galaxy. Because unlike Takuvma, who is sharing the technology with the houses that align with him, you know that bitch, that's the only ship in the entire galaxy that can cloak.
Yeah, but that also may have been more of something like they were by the planet of the home base, so they were more like, oh shit, what the fuck did the rebels just launch up into space, or what's been sitting by this planet that supposedly has, maybe something has the rebels protected.
Right.
Like, that's where my head would have jumped if I would have been in a situation like that. I wouldn't have thought that it was like my supreme emperor, even though they were raining down ungodly fire. Like, once I saw that, I'd been like, well, that's probably one of ours. But at the same time, like, I'd have been like, what the fuck is happening?
Right. My whole plan is going to shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. And that's where her brain went. But everyone else is like, we know whose fucking ship this is. It's the only one.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah. That shocking moment, I don't think she could control it.
Oh, no, she can't. And,
at all.
Yeah,
and so the hail comes in, and it's Emperor Giorgio, and she's looks pretty fucking badass. Like
yes, she does.
She's an emperor for sure. And side note from the After Trek, is it Michelle Yeoh? Is that the name of the actress that plays her?
Yes, Michelle Yeoh.
She designed that sword because we know her from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and she is very into that kind of stuff. She was the prop designer, kept having to like fly out to where she was to like show her the sword, and she's like, no, change this, this is right. Now, she designed that sword that she wears.
That's pretty badass, absolutely.
That's freaking cool. So
yeah, you know that prop's going home with her.
Yeah, that's on my mantle, motherfucker.
Yep.
I read one of the strings on Reddit I was reading about this episode. They said, I don't remember the guy who said it, I should have wrote his name down because he deserves credit, but they were like, Burnham came on the bridge, Giorgio popped up, like, bitch, you thought. Just like so Giorgio says, you have been gone too long to Burnham, but I can't say the same for your prisoner because Lorca's still on the bridge. And, everyone's bowing except Burnham. And then Giorgio asks her, you don't bow for your emperor. And when Burnham bows, they switch to Lorca's face, and he's smirking.
Yes.
Like, he is not uncomfortable. It's not gas. Like, he's smirking. So what do we think? So we have non-Trekkie or just casual fan of the show. We have me, which is like mid to high level Trekkie, and we have major Trekkie on the other line. What do we all think? Let's start with Corey, the smirk. What do you think?
Well, I think it's what I said. He wants to get close to the Emperor to kill her. I mean, it's just pretty much simple as that. Overthrow her, do something. Like, but I still think it's because he wants her spot.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say, as the mid-level here, I'm going to agree with that. I think he knows, because she fucked up so much in those like 30 seconds, that he knows that Burnham, his whole goal has been to get Burnham and the Emperor in the same room. For what reason, I do not know. But they have to be in the same room. I'm not even sure if he needs to be there. But that's been his entire goal, is to get Burnham. His laser focus on Burnham has always been, I need to get her and the Emperor in the same room. And that smirk was like, I got it. That's my whole plan. This whole convoluted bullshit lining right up for me. That's what that smirk was. Luke, your turn.
I agree with both assessments, but I don't think it's quite as nefarious as you guys are making it out to be. I think this is definitely going to be one of the best misdirections of the show because everybody wants to go down that rabbit hole, so to speak. And my thinking still is that it's going to be just staying with the whole premise of Star Trek being, better yourself, better the world, sort of a thing. I think it's going to have more of that kind of a plot twist to it than it is just okay, I'm doing this just so I can take power and rule the Terran Empire. I mean, I think that's the too obvious of an answer. I think there's going to be definitely more of a twist to what's really going on.
Well,
I'd just like to remind you that Clay and I are batting 1,000 on this. So, I think our hunches are pretty goddamn spot on.
Our track record is pretty good.
Yeah, just saying. No, I think it is for nefarious reasons, and I'll tell you why, because that's how we're going to get to Tilly being captain, and we're going to get Burnham. Lorca's about to be gone. I think Lorca's going to end up off the show here after this season.
Do you think as an actor he's probably too expensive for the show?
No, I just think it's one of those things where you kind of bring in one of these actors for the show because they're super talented and they can carry the weight, and
they'll pull views. All the Harry Potter viewers.
Yeah, and they'll pull in what they need to pull in, but they're also like, I got other projects lined up, kind of thing. Like I'm gonna go act in the Queen's ballet or some shit. Whatever. Like I don't know, but like he seems like a dude that does a lot of fucking interesting shit.
Right.
So I really wouldn't be surprised if Lorca gets to this and Burnham has to do something to end Lorca's life because he's now the Terran person, and then we get back and now you have Burnham, Tilly, that crew, doing it.
Agreed. And he's never been, his backstory is never been explained, and it's not because they want to keep him mysterious. It is, but the story's never been about him. Like, and they've always said that from the beginning. They were writing the show to not be your standard follow the captain and the commander and the lieutenant commanders and stuff. They want to follow the people in the trenches, the lower rung of the thing. There's a couple episodes of Next Generation that focus on like just random crew members. It's those kind of shows. So it would make complete sense. I would say he has to sacrifice himself, and it will come out of nowhere to the rest of the people. Like he will sacrifice himself to save Discovery, get them back, and then he won't be there anymore.
Okay, so you're saying he's doing the good guy thing and is gonna jump on the grenade?
Right. He's gonna fall on the grenade.
Okay.
He's gonna turn the ship around real slow and then go into warp through the whole fucking fleet. To pull the Star Wars reference from Last Jedi. Sorry, spoiler alert. It's the fucking best scene of the whole movie. Just saying. So, anyways, that's it. We know that Giorgio's gonna call her ass to in front of her because she done fucked up.
She's mincemeat.
Yeah, she's in trouble. There's definitely a camaraderie there between her and the Emperor, but not in the way that it was, and she lets it all on her face when she shows up. There is no hardcore hiding anything. She sees Giorgio, her eye, like she's tearing up, like that's my dead best friend / mom / whatever figure, so she's in trouble next episode. Luke, what did you say we saw in the trailer for next week that definitely lets us know what's going on? I mean, I know there's a shuttlecraft ride with Lorca and her probably heading to the Emperor's ship.
Yeah, I mean, no, it just boils down to we know that things are going to come to a head between Burnham and Giorgio, and I think Burnham's going to have a really tough time with this because I think she really misses Giorgio, and that's very obvious. And you also see Lorca saying in the preview for the next episode, keep in mind this isn't the Giorgio that you know,
which she will not be able to do.
Right? Exactly. So I just think it's going to be more dramatics from Burnham, sort of like the Burnham-Ash dynamic. It's going to be something very similar to where I think this time when it comes to pulling the trigger on the situation, I think she's going to do it. So to where you guys may think Lorca's the one trying to get the power, maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong. I think Burnham in the end is going to be the one that ends up killing Giorgio because she can pull the trigger this time. She's not going to make the same mistake twice.
Nice. All right, Corey, final thoughts? Anything else you want to add?
No, man, I don't got anything. It was a good episode. It moved things along. I think the next episode is going to have even more bang for the buck. So this was kind of like, yo, it's a sandwich effect, like they gave you a super dope episode and then they were like, hey, we understand this is going to be a little slow. So that's probably why there was some more fighting in there to pique your attention back into the story, because they're like, we got to explain this shit.
It's going to be real boring.
There's no real fast fucking way to do it. And then the next episode is going to be like a holy shit, balls to the wall, like reveal. And you're like, fucking just, oh my God, throw towels on me. Like I can't keep up with it. It's just raining arcs of jism everywhere.
Right.
Like it's going to be insane.
Right. We'll have Giorgio and Burnham. We'll have more of Lorca's plot. We'll have Stamets and Stamets. We'll have Tilly dealing with Stamets on the outside. So we're all in agreement that Vogue and Sarek from the Mirror Universe are not dead, right? Because you didn't see them die, therefore they're not dead.
Correct.
Right. Unlike good leaders, they left first and let the guys carrying the gear get out at the end. Those are the ones that died.
I actually don't think anybody, and I know we didn't touch on this because I didn't bring it up, but I don't think anybody died from when Giorgio came and fired down on the planet. I don't think anybody died.
I'm going to disagree with you because I love doing that. I do because it will be easily explained away when they get a chance between when Burnham sees Vogue again, but they will have lost not everybody, but a good number of their ranks, and he will immediately want to, when he sees her, want to go after her, and she'll say, no. This is what happened, and then it'll all boil down. She'll get to fight him a little bit, and they'll get to a standoff or something is probably what's going to happen. But, yeah. So maybe, in fact, while Giorgio is, like, maybe he saves her because Giorgio's, like, getting ready to cut her throat, like we saw in the trailer, and then, like, Vogue attacks their ship, and then there's a whole space battle and some other shit. So who knows? I mean, that I got a feeling that's what it's going to be like.
Yes.
So, okay. So that's it. That's episode 11. We've got, 12, 13, 14. We got 4 episodes left?
4 episodes to go.
Man, they got a lot to wrap up here. So, okay. To everyone who hung on to the end of this podcast, thank you for listening to us. It is a pleasure as always. Luke, thank you for joining us. I know you said you won't be here next week, but we'll bring you back when we get towards the end, I promise.
Absolutely. I appreciate the time, guys. And for all you guys out there listening, please tune into this. It's a great podcast, and 2 thumbs up, guys.
Well, they are listening, so good for them, especially at this end.
Hey, well, spread the word, share the love,
yeah.
Man. Do it all, Give someone a high five and be like, 2 Dads Review told me to do that. I love you. Pass it on.
Exactly. And I tell you what, if Loot Crate would ever ship me my goddamn Star Trek Loot Crate, and I could go through it and be like, this stuff isn't the greatest thing for me, we'll have a goddamn giveaway, and I'll send you guys a bunch of shit for leaving us 5-star reviews.
I'll tell you what. I got stuff we can give away.
Do you? What do you got?
Yeah, I got a microphone and a set of G35 Logitech headphones that I will throw in for a giveaway, so a future podcaster, streamer, or anything can get started.
Wow. Okay.
Ooh, nice.
Are you saying is that official as of right now?
Yeah, as of right now. I'm looking at it right now. I got the microphone and the headphones, and we'll package them together as a deal
and ship it as slowly and cheaply as possible.
Yeah, I'm not Amazon. You're not getting 2 days or anything like that. But I think all you need to do is probably follow us on Twitter, give us a review somewhere. I don't know, Clay, where should they give us a review
okay,
at?
So follow us on Twitter and a 5-star review or a review on Apple Podcasts. Feel free to give us as many stars as you like. But
yeah, it doesn't need to be a 5-star review, and it will if you are in it, put giveaway, hashtag giveaway, something to us with us in it. That way we know you want it, because I'm not going to give anybody that's just out there talking shit a fucking pair of headphones. But I'm also not going to give some super happy guy a pair of headphones, like if they don't need them, if they don't want them. Like this needs to be for someone who is trying to get started.
Wow.
Like that's what it needs to be for. Like we're going to try to help out someone who wants to get started in the podcast world or in the streaming universe. But like, man, if you got a nice mic and you got your own headphones, like do your own thing. Like, congratulations.
I like it. Wow, this is if you follow
Mr. Generosity.
That's right. If you follow Slothbear35 on Twitter, which you all should be doing to follow the Two Dads Review on Twitter, the man is positive all the time on Twitter. He throws it out. He loves the love, and he loves feeling feelings. He's pretty much a male Tilly. I'm just saying. He just did. And yes, okay. So we'll do it this way. Between now and the finale, do those things and keep tweeting at us and leaving those reviews, and we'll pick somebody on the finale episode. We'll draw out of a hat, and we'll award whatever we've accumulated. If we've accumulated a shit ton of stuff, maybe we'll pick more than one. So don't feel like you're just shooting at it crazy. So you're get on there, leave us some reviews on Apple Podcasts, and we'll do it from there. So yeah, thank you everybody for listening. Thank you from the Two Dads Review. I'm sure thank you from the stepdad, right?
Yes, thank you.
And we will catch you guys next week, same time. Hopefully on we'll record these on a Tuesday, do them on a Wednesday, and we'll see you guys next week as always. We love you guys.
Yeah, love you guys. Thanks for coming out.